a Bluegrass Spectacular. Tonight's stars, Raymond Fairchild, Janet Jacoby, the Rutherford County Square Dancers, Charlie Collins, the Grandpa Jones family, Doc Watson, Wilma Lee Cooper, Buck White and the Down Home folks, the Seldom Seen, Jim and Jesse, Mac Wiseman, and the father of bluegrass music, Bill Monroe. Now our host, the storyteller, Tom T. Hall.
All right. Thank you. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and hi, everybody, and welcome to Bluegrass Spectacular. And gathered backstage here, we have some of the greatest bluegrass and old-time musicians and singers in the entire world. Now, I suppose that you could call this mail-order catalog music, and I'll tell you why. Folks out in the country used to order their instruments through the mail, and when they arrived, they threw the instruction books away and tuned them up and picked them to their own satisfaction. Now, bluegrass music is not a second cousin or a poor relative of country music. It has a sound and a look all its own. Now, we're going to see a variety of string bands on stage this evening, but bluegrass music has its own particular group of instruments, and those are guitar, banjo, mandolin, fiddle, dobro, and bass fiddle. That, my friends, is a banjo. A real one. Now, to really make a banjo shine, you need a couple of other instruments. So let's add a guitar for rhythm and a bass fiddle for a firm foundation. Magic, isn't it? But now we're going to get out of history and we're going to get into the present with one of the finest demonstrations of five-string banjo picking that you're likely to hear anywhere in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Raymond Fairchild. Thank you. My, you're a great audience, and we're loving having you here this evening. You know, like I said, bluegrass is homegrown American music. And it took all kinds of folks from all over the world to settle America, as you well know. And bluegrass has done some borrowing from some of these neighbors. Spain, for instance, gave us the guitar. Bill Monroe built the basics of bluegrass around the mandolin, which came from Italy. But now let's stop talking and start listening. Now here's Charlie Collins of the Smoky Mountain Boys on flat-top guitar, and Jesse McReynolds of Jim and Jesse and the Virginia Boys on the mandolin. Gentlemen, how about it? Well, you folks may have noticed that one member of a bluegrass band carries a guitar tilted up sort of like this, like he's going to eat off of it. Well, that's the dobro player, and this is a good story. Maybe you haven't heard it. The dobro looks like a guitar, but it has a metal plate on the top, and it's played by sliding a steel bar along the strings. Now, the dobro comes to us from the DePeyre brothers, and somehow their French name got boiled down to dobro for DePeyre brothers. See there? And you know, Mac Wiseman introduced the dobro to bluegrass music by way of Buck Graves. So let's call on Mike Aldrich of the Seldom Scene for a big demonstration. Mike Aldrich. These boys are in rare form tonight. Well, this is Wayne Crow, the bass player, and I can't pass one of these things up. I used to play one of these things in my polar bear show, you know. And this is called the doghouse bass. And in the old days, bands used a wash tub with a string stretched over the bottom to make a sound something like that. You never played one of these. But when the early bands were invited to play on the radio, they sort of borrowed the bass fiddle because it was around the studio where the orchestras used them. And so they picked it up and they learned to play it. And if the bass is the ground floor of bluegrass music, then the fiddle is the gingerbread under the eaves. Now, when it comes to fiddle players, Jana Jacoby is an authentic champion. You might remember that she took top honors at the Grand Masters Fiddling Contest at Opryland a couple of years ago. And now at the advanced age of 15, she plays better than ever. While Jana plays, we'll have some fancy footwork from the Rutherford County Square Dancers. Ladies and gentlemen, Jana Jacoby. Good. That'll sell a lot of fiddles and square dancing shoes, won't it? That sort of thing. Well, folks, that's it. Our bluegrass band is all complete now, as you can see. Now, you may think that I brought all these folks together just to show you what makes up a bluegrass band. But actually, I worked this out so I could play a little bluegrass my own self. Now, you folks probably may not know it, but long before I wrote songs about watermelon wine and baby ducks, I was singing the praises of Polar Bear Flour on WMOR radio in Moorhead, Kentucky. I got up before the chickens 5 days a week to pick bluegrass music, and working with a great group like this is just too good to pass up. And I'd like to have another country music, a bluegrass legend, join me, Mac Wiseman. Come out here, Mac. Hey, let's, Raymond, you know the Fox on the Run? Let's do it all. Oh, she walks through the corn leading down to the river. Her hair shone like gold in the hot morning sun. She took all the love that a poor boy could give her, left me to die like a fox on the run. Like a fox on the run. Now everybody knows the reason for my fall. A woman tempted me down in Paradise Hall. A woman tempted me and she took me for a ride. Like a lonely fox, boy, they need a place to hide. As she walks through the corn leading down to the river, her hair shone like gold in the hot morning sun. But she took all the love that a poor boy could give her, left me to die like a fox on the run. Like a fox on the run. Get 'em, Raymond. A glass of wine, boys, a 45 sold, and we'll talk about the world and the friends we used to know. I see a string of girls who have put me on before, but the game is nearly over and the
pounded at the door.
Well, she walks through the corn lead down to the river. Her hair shone like gold in the hot morning sun. And she took all the love that a poor boy could give her. Left me to die like a fox on the run. Like a fox. Like a fox on the run. Well, thank you, folks. You're great. Well, we're going to take a break now, and when we return, you're going to hear some genuine mountain music. You know, bluegrass grew out of mountain music, and you're going to hear some authentic samples from Wilma Lee, Doc and Burl Watson, and the Grandpa Jones family. You're watching Bluegrass Spectacular on PBS. You know, back in the days before television or even radio, people who worked the hillside farms of Kentucky, Virginia, and North Carolina had to entertain themselves in the evening after the cows were milked and the milk was carried down to the spring house. Folks gathered out on the porch, and Daddy might tell a good story. Then somebody would bring out a guitar or a fiddle, and Ma and the girls would fetch the dulcimer and the auto harp, and the music would start. I really love those back porch symphonies, and here's the genuine mountain group. Ladies and gentlemen, Grandpa Jones and the Jones family.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you so... What'd you say? What's for supper? Cornbread, turnip greens, candied yam, butter bean, blackberry cobbler, and all things were in the more to eat, the more to spare. All right. A little song here that we get a lot of requests for out on the personal appearances called Fallen Leaves. Are not around. They are scattered like the leaves upon the ground. Some folks drift along through life and never thrill to the feeling that a good deed brings until it's too late and they are ready to lie down.
Grandpa, that's beautiful. I have come out here to either enlighten people or confuse them about the origin of the five-string banjo. We find out in a minute. You know, the banjo is a homegrown instrument, and the folks who play the banjo have their own homemade ways of playing the banjo. The two most common styles are called finger picking and frailing, right? Now, this young gentleman is going to demonstrate the frail to you. This is kind of with the thumb, or could you tell him more about it? Or
well,
you know
there's a lot of different names. Thumb string, drop thumb, frailing. A lot of the college folks call it frailing.
Well, let's do a little frailing here and demonstrate that. Aha, see there? Now, yes, that deserves a hand, I think so. And then Earl Scruggs came along, a gentleman who is credited with inventing a different style of banjo playing with picks on his fingers. I guess so to be louder. Or...
And he plays at one end to the other, too.
Yes, he does. Well, I want to give you a crude demonstration of how Earl does it, but I hope Earl ain't watching tonight. But this is the way the other finger-picking style goes. See there?
That's the best I
And I'm going to let Grandpa take over here and tell you a fascinating story about a great instrument called the dulcimer.
Thank you, Tom. This instrument over here is called a hammered dulcimer, and it's played with mallets. And Elisa, our daughter here, learned to play it pretty quick. And she and Ramona will play you a tune called Over the Waterfall, right? Okay.
Doesn't that music sound good on a beautiful afternoon in good old Nashville, Tennessee? Well, you know, folks, back in the days of homegrown back porch music, some folks would pick so clean and make music so well that they'd be invited to step out front and shine a little bit. A good hand at the banjo or guitar was liable to be invited to every church social, quilting bee, wedding, and square dance for miles around. And there wasn't any money in it, but a good musician could take home all the fried chicken he could handle, big yellow-legged chickens. And if things still worked that way, our next guest could have collected enough fried chicken to make the colonel jealous. When this man plays, even the professionals move closer to listen. Let's welcome the legendary Doc Watson and his son, Morris.
Thank you, Tom.
'twas late last night when old Willie came home. I heard him a-rapping on the door. He's a-slipping and a-sliding with them new shoes on. And Mama said, Willie, don't you rap no more. Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Hold me and it's home, I ain't the one to go my bail. I was over at my sweet son's house, sitting in that big armchair. One arm around my old guitar, and the other one around my dear. Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and so, I ain't no one to go my bail. Shirt is about all I've got, and $1 is all that I crave. I brought nothing with me into this old world, and I'll take nothing to my grave. Way downtown, fooling around, took me to the jail. Oh, me and so, I ain't no one to go my bail. Thank you. Very quickly, let me introduce each one of the boys, and you can applaud for them all at one time. A good buddy here on my immediate right is a good bass player, as you found out, and sings mighty fine harmony, Mr. T. Michael Coleman. The next man is my son, Merle, and as you found out, he can play fine slide guitar as well as the flat top. And the last man over there with the guitar or the mandolin or whatever he might pick up, Brother Marty Stewart. Let's make them all welcome, would you? 25, I left Tennessee very much alive. I never would have got through the Arkansas mud if I hadn't been riding on the Tennessee stud. I had some trouble with my sweetheart's paw, and one of her brothers was a bad outlaw. Sent her a letter by my Uncle Fudd, and I rode away on the Tennessee stud. The Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee stud. One day while I riding through a beautiful land, I ran smack into an Indian band. They jumped their nags with a whoop and a yell, and away we went like a bat out of well. They circled their camp for a time or two to show 'em what a Tennessee horse can do. The redskin boys couldn't get my blood, 'cause I was a riding that Tennessee stud. Get up there, boy. The Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee stud. Steady, boy. So we drifted on down into no man's land, across that river called the Rio Grande. I raced my horse with a Spaniard's foal till I got me a skin full of silver and gold. Me and a gambler we couldn't agree, we got in a fight over Tennessee. We jerked our guns and he fell with a thud, and I got away on the Tennessee stud. The Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee stud. I got just as lonesome as a man can be, a-dreaming of my girl in Tennessee. The Tennessee stud's green eyes turned blue, 'cause he was a-dreaming of a sweetheart too. Easy, big fella. So we loped right back across Arkansas. I beat up her brother and I slapped her paw. And when I found that gal with the golden hair, she was a-riding on the Tennessee mare. Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee stud. There's a pretty little baby on the cabin floor, a little horse coat playing round the door. I love that gal with the golden hair, and the Tennessee stud, love the Tennessee mare. They're good horses, you know. The Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee stud. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much, and good night.
Well, now you know why they call him the legendary Doc Watson. You know, radio brought mountain music to the big city in the early days. Radio was hungry for talent. And the best country music bands and musicians packed up and joined famous radio shows like the WLS Barn Dance in Chicago, the Wheeling Jamboree, and the Louisiana Hayride. Wilma Lee and her husband, Stoney Cooper, came to Nashville, the country music capital of the world, and WSM's Grand Ole Opry. And although Stoney died a few years ago, Wilma kept on the family tradition. Here's Wilma Lee and the Clinch Mountain Clan.
Only a friend to sleep. Then they left him to die like a tramp on the street. Gene Moon and the dobro guitar. Judgment Day. He was Mary's own darling. He was God's chosen son. Once he was there, and once he was young. Mary, she rocked him, her darling, to sleep. Then they left him to die like a tramp on the street. Thank you so much, folks. You're so kind this evening. You know, the music that we do, the kind that I do, and you've been hearing on the program here, is the kind of music that's family music. Back where I was raised in the mountains of West Virginia, the whole family sung. And so you notice that with Grandpa Jones and his family. So I want you to meet my daughter, the only child that Stoney and I have, a girl, Carol E. Cooper. Would you make her welcome? She's going to sing with us. A little bit of the Midnight Station. Big midnight special, shine your light on me. Big midnight special, shine your everlasting light on me. Woke up this morning, and I was so low. The Jacob said, come boy, it's time to go. Big midnight special, shine your light on me. Big midnight special, shine your everlasting light on me. Well, I never had the blues so in my life before, till my baby left me at the station door. Big midnight special, shine your light on me. Big midnight special, shine your everlasting light on me. Stand proud. Well, a pretty little woman goes around this door, said you're on to Atlanta, start tending to a score. Big midnight special, shine your light on me. Big midnight special, shine your everlasting light on me. Well, I never had the blues so in my life before, till my baby left me at the station door. Big midnight special, shine your light on me. Big midnight special, shine your everlasting light on me. Took him on to Atlanta at the end of the line. Said you start summertime, boy, so you're off crime. Big midnight Station, shine your light on me. Big midnight special, shine your ever loving light on me. That whistle makes me lonesome on the midnight train, but he knows I'm the way. Tell him brings him home again. Big midnight station, shine your light on me. Big midnight special, shine your ever loving light on me. Big midnight special, shine your ever loving light on me. Big midnight special, shine your ever loving light on me.
Well, you've heard some fine back porch music that sort of traced the beginnings of bluegrass. And now that you know how it all started, we're going to show you where it's going. It's called Progressive Bluegrass. And you're going to hear it played by Buck White and the Down Home folks. Bluegrass legend Mac Wiseman and a spectacular group out of Washington, D.C. called the Seldom Seen. You're watching Bluegrass Spectacular on PBS. Well, we're having a magnificent time here tonight. And you know, when Buck White decided to form a band, he didn't have to look far to find his guitar and bass players. All he had to do was look around the dinner table, and there they were. Actually, Buck had worked with several groups before he brought in his daughters, Sharon and Cheryl. But the White combination has proved to be a real winner. Buck grew up in swing, and he plays several instruments. So the band's approach to music is inventive. When Buck added a whiz-bang fiddle player named Ricky Skaggs and a dandy dobro player named Jerry Douglas, well, the group really took off. So let's welcome Buck White and the Down Home folks.
Church stop and let me ride. Swing down church stop and let me ride. Rock me Lord, slow and easy. I've got a home on the other side. Well, I looked over Jordan and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels are coming after me, coming for to carry me home. Swing down church stop and let me ride. Swing down church stop and let me ride. Rock me Lord, slow and easy. I've got a home on the other side. Well, if you get there before I do, coming for to carry me home. Tell all my friends that I'm coming too, coming for to carry me home. Swing down church stop and let me ride. Swing down church stop and let me ride. Rock me Lord, slow and easy. I've got a home on the other side.
Well, I'm sometimes up and I'm sometimes down,
coming for to carry me home.
but still my soul is heavenward bound.
Coming for to carry me home. Swing down church stop and let me ride. Swing down church stop and let me ride. Rock me Lord, slow and easy. I've got a home on the other side. I've got a home on the other side. I've got a home on the other side.
All right. Oh, you're a tough audience. Great to work with you. Great to be here with you tonight. I want to introduce a young lady to you. She's one of my favorite singers. Started singing with her mother and myself back when she was about 8 years old, my oldest daughter. Here's a pretty song that Dolly Parton wrote. I bet you're going to like it. It's called My Blue Tear. Beautiful song. Ah, what a nice audience. I think we're going to have a good time here tonight. Y'all ready to have a good time, aren't you? You know, I was thinking about this next number. Back when I was a young fellow growing up, I heard that the saying Fancy Dan. And that was a fella that was sort of like a dude. He had a little better clothes than some of the rest of us boys. Yeah, he always had a nice slick haircut, you know. And so I wrote a little tune called it Fancy Dan. And we're going to have some fun with this. Okay? Are y'all ready to have a little fun? Good. Is having a good time, you know. And having a good time is just relaxing and letting it all turn loose, okay? I want to show you a little step that they do over there in Arkansas. You Arkies, this is called Arkansas Twist. For you folks up there in Missouri, here's one they call the Missouri Drag. We don't want to forget Tennessee, do we? Here's one they do in Tennessee. It's called the Barnyard Shuffle. Well, how about a little help up here? Anybody want to dance with me? Come on, honey. Come on right on up, dance. Get it. Come on, anybody else? Come on, girls. All right, get after it then.
You know, when it comes to the modern sound of progressive bluegrass, few groups have captured the folks' fancy the way a Washington, D.C. group has. The District of Columbia has become a hotbed of bluegrass music, and these gentlemen are the pick of the litter. And although they call themselves the Seldom Seen, tonight we're not only going to get to see them, we're going to hear them pick some mighty fine music. Ladies and gentlemen, the Seldom Seen.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and a part of this show. And let me tell you who everybody is real quick. On the five-string banjo, Ben Eldridge. On the bass fiddle, Tom Gray. On the guitar, who's back there tuning the full thing, is Phil Rosenthal. On the far left is the legend of the dobro, Mike Aldridge. My name is John Duffy. We are the Seldom Seen. And sometimes heard. Here's a song from one of our albums, which has done well for us, and we hope you like it. It's called Wait a Minute. to change it. I can't take the lonely nights without your love. Two on the road, get the music done and move along. What good does it do? Play your songs for her and hear her say, wait a minute, did I hear you say you're going far away again? Try to change it, I can't take the lonely nights without your love. Rolling along, life's been good to you, but even so, she comes to you late at night's the time you hear her say once again, wait a minute, did I hear you say you're going far away again? Try to change it, I can't take the lonely nights without your love. Waiting for you 30 days and nights without a rest. Try to hold on, 25 to go, and once again you'll hear her say, hey, wait a minute, did I hear you say you're going far away again? Try to change it, I can't take the lonely nights without your love. Wait a minute, did I hear you say you're going far away again? Try to change it, I can't take the lonely nights without your Thank you ever so much. Okay, here's a folk song. We call it a folk song because we don't know who wrote it, so we can rip it off like everybody else. Let's get us into Rider with lots of adrenaline. I know you rider gonna miss me when I'm gone. I know you rider gonna miss me when I'm gone. Gonna miss you, baby, rolling in your arms. Lord, I wish I was a headlight on a northbound train. Lord, I wish I was a headlight on a northbound train. So I'd shine my light through the cool Colorado
laid down last night, Lord. I could not take my rest. I laid down last night, Lord. I could not take my rest. My mind was wandering like wild geese in the west. I know you right are gonna miss me when I'm gone. I know you right are gonna miss me when I'm gone. Gonna miss you, baby, from holding you on. I know you right are gonna miss me when I'm gone. I know you right are gonna miss me when I'm gone. Gonna miss you, baby, from rolling in your arms.
Well, yes. Certainly. Well, you know, after that workout, these folks need a chance to catch a breath. We'll be coming back with some of the biggest names in bluegrass. Jim and Jesse, Mac Wiseman, and you're about to meet the grand old daddy of bluegrass music, Bill Monroe. You're watching Bluegrass Spectacular on PBS. You know, the hills hills of southwest Virginia produce three things: locust trees, which are good for fence posts, coal, and fine bluegrass music. Jim and Jessie McReynolds grew up around Norton, and their high, clear bluegrass sound has been a highlight of the Grand Ole Opry for several years now. Jim and Jessie have taken their bluegrass music all over the world, but tonight they're bringing it home to Music City, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim and Jessie McReynolds and the Virginia Boys.
Thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed a little bluegrass there from south of the border. That was called El Comanchero. We appreciate all the boys in our band, the Virginia Boys, which features Joe Meadows on the fiddle from West Virginia and Tim Ellis on the banjo from Toledo, Ohio, and my son Keith back here on the bass. Of course, it's my big brother plays the guitar. I can't get along without him too well. Here's a song that I tried on the first of the show. I had to bring him out this time. Here's a song that we sang a lot around the world. I guess it's one that's one of John Prine's greatest songs that he wrote, and we hope you might enjoy it once again, called Paradise.
Where my parents were born. There's a backwoods old town that's often remembered, so many times that my memories are worn. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Travel right down the Green River to the abandoned old prison down by Opry Hill, where the air smelled like snakes and we shoot with our pistols, but empty pop bottles was all we would kill. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? But I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Then the coal company came with the world's largest shovel. They tortured the timber and stripped all the land. They dug for their coal till the land was forsaken, then rode it all down as progress of man. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away.
Jim and Jesse and a great John Prine song. You know, folks, when Mac Wiseman joined Bill Monroe's Bluegrass Boys, the varnish on Bill's mandolin was still shining. And when you see that mandolin a little later on, you'll know how long ago that really was. Mac learned the Monroe style of bluegrass from the main man himself, but has added his own touches. Mac is still blazing his own trails. And you're about to hear some pop tunes wrapped up in bluegrass style as only Mac Wiseman can do it.
It's so nice to meet an old friend and pass the time of day, to talk about the hometown a million miles away. Is the ice still in the river? Are the old folks still the same? By the way, did she mention my name? Did she mention my name while in passing? And looking at the rain, do you remember if she dropped the name or two? Is the home team still on fire? Do they still win all the games? By the way, did she mention my name? Is the landlord still the loser? Do his signs hang in the hall? Are the young girls still as pretty in the winter, in the fall? Is the smile on their faces still put the sun to shame? By the way, did she mention my name? Did she mention my name while in passing? And when the talk runs high, does the look in her eyes seem far away? Is the old roof still leaking when the light snow turns to rain? By the way, did she mention my name? Did she mention my name just in passing? And looking at the rain, do you remember if she dropped a name or two? If you mention an old friend, there'll be no need to explain. By the way, did she mention my name? By the way, did she mention my name?
Thank you. That's two our bluegrass version of Love Letters to Sam for you.
On a day like today, we pass the time away, writing the love letters in the sand. How you laughed when I cried each time I saw the tide take our love letters from the sand. You made a vow that you would always be true, but somehow that vow meant nothing to you. Now my poor heart just aches with every wave that breaks over love letters in the sand. today. We'd pass the time away, writing love letters in the sand. How you laughed when I cried each time I saw the tide take our love letters from the sand. You made a vow that you would always be true, but somehow that vow meant nothing to you. Now my poor heart just aches with every wave that breaks over love letters in the sand.
Mac Wiseman. Well, somebody said backstage a while ago, nobody sounds like Mac Wiseman except Mac Wiseman, and he's proven it tonight. Well, you know, folks, everything we've done tonight has led us up to this point, and we've heard from some of the biggest names in bluegrass music. Now we're going to meet the man who started it all. Back in the 30s, Bill Monroe drew on the music of his native Kentucky, and in a stroke of magnificent invention, created a new individual sound. Now Bill's bluegrass is played all over the world, and every note is a tribute to the daddy of it all. He's a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame, as you well know, and recently celebrated his 40th anniversary as a member of the Grand Ole Opry. Every succeeding generation rediscovers Bill Monroe and his music, and today's bluegrass groups may eventually develop their own styles, but they all start out sounding like Bill's Bluegrass Boys. Now let's meet an American original. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Monroe.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. We're glad to be here on this Bluegrass show, and it's the greatest music in the world, bluegrass. We would like to do some numbers for you folks right now. And here's the number that I've featured down through the years, and it's entitled, I Traced a Little Footprints in the Snow. Like the summertime, and they can walk about, strolling through the meadow green and but there's no doubt. But give me the wintertime when the snow's on the ground, for the pounder when the snow laid on the ground. I traced a little footprints in the snow. I found a little footprints in the snow, Lord. I blessed that happy day that Nanny lost her way, for the pounder when the snow laid on the ground. I dropped in to see her, there was a big round moon. Her mother said she just stepped out, but if you return and soon. I found her little footprints and I traced them through the snow, and I found her when the snow laid on the ground. I traced a little footprints in the snow. I found a little footprints in the snow, Lord. I blessed that happy day that Nanny lost her way, for I found her when the snow laid on the ground. Now she's up in heaven, she's with the angel band. I know I'm going to meet her in that promised land. But every time the snow falls, it brings me back memory, for I found her when the snow laid on the ground. I traced a little footprints in the snow. I found a little footprints footprints in the snow. I was that happy day and I lost her way. Brought I found her when the snow lit on the ground.
Well, now that's the way it's done. Bill, I have a little surprise for you here. It's show and tell time, it says on the cue card. And I've got a little home movie here, and the audience can watch it on the monitors over there. A few days ago, I flew down to Levelland, Texas to visit South Plains College. The college has about 2,000 students, a big spacious campus, and even a couple of oil wells on the property. And what makes South Plains College so special to me is the sound in this classroom. These students play some of the finest bluegrass west of Bowling Green. The thing is, this isn't a jam session, it's an actual class meeting. South Plains College offers an associate degree in bluegrass music. Over 50 students are in the program, and 29 of them are majoring in the music that Bill Monroe invented. The bluegrass majors have to take all the usual junior college courses. Many of them hope to become professional musicians or work in publishing or management. These kids have to work at it. As Dean Nathan Tubbs says, it takes more than a big hat and a fancy belt buckle to make it through the course. Bill, it's a great tribute to you that the music you pioneered is looked on as a serious academic discipline. And South Plains College should be congratulated for recognizing bluegrass music as an authentic folk form. And now, Bill, I'd like to introduce you to Academic Dean Nathan Tubb and Eddie Trice, Dean of College Relations for South Plains College. Would you give these guys a nice hand here?
Bill, we've come all the way to Nashville tonight because we wanted to be a part of this tribute to bluegrass music. Being that we're the first college to offer a degree in bluegrass music, we felt that it would be appropriate to honor the father of bluegrass music. And it's our privilege and pleasure to give you an honorary degree in the Associate Arts of Bluegrass Music from South Plains College in Levelland, Texas. Thank you, Bill.
Well, that's really wonderful. Coming from the state of Texas, from Ed and Nathan there, and I really appreciate this. Tom, this is awful nice. Thank you, thank you. Back to the Bluegrass Boys. And here's one of my favorite numbers entitled Blue Moon of Kentucky. Shine on the one that's gone and left me blue. It was on a moonlight night, the stars shining bright, and they whispered, come on high, you love said goodbye. Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gone and said goodbye. I said
Thank you. Thank you a lot. Blue Middle, Kentucky. Thank you. Now we have a gentleman here that I would like to introduce, that he has really done a lot for bluegrass music, and I know that you're going to make him welcome here tonight when I get through talking. I'm really proud of him. He's my son, James Monroe, and the Midnight Ramblers. Give him a hand, would you please?
He said, son, we won't forget. And if you try to keep your hands clean, we may make a good man of you yet. I couldn't wait to do my sentence. I broke out of the Nashville jail. I just crossed the line of Georgia. I can hear those bloodhounds on my trail. Didn't come clean. I tried it too, like my daddy told me, but I must wash my hand in a muddy stream. But I must wash my hand in a muddy stream.
Well, folks, that's the way it's done. I guess we've made history tonight.
Father of bluegrass music, and there ain't nobody that does it better. Let's join Bill on stage as he tells us what's on his mind.
Now I want to do for the first number, My Sweet Blue-Eyed Darling.